Andrea.
Hi, can you see me okay? Can you hear me
I
okay?
can. Yes. I was like, I know I'm going to have to adjust myself because Instagram splits us in half.
I see that.
Yeah. How are you?
I am fine. How are you? How are things in your area?
It's getting better. Actually, we're still without water, which is really sad.
Oh my
But
gosh.
the snow and ice and everything is starting to melt today. So we're looking forward to the weekend and staying positive. But
Good.
thank you for everybody who's joining us. This is Andrea. I'm so glad that she's our guest this week, and you have so much insightful knowledge, and I'm so excited that you're with us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the
Yeah.
live tonight.
No, yeah, and it's so fun because you're actually in Canada, right?
I am in Atlantic Canada and I'm by the sea.
Oh,
Normally, we get a lot of snow here as well, but our winter, fortunately, has been milder up until now than usual. So we're
well,
having,
that's good.
yeah.
I think we got it all in Texas for you guys. We took the brunt we took the brunt of the storms for everybody.
How's the lighting? Can you see me okay? Is there enough light?
Yeah, definitely. I love the style you have
Perfect.
on. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but yeah,
Yeah,
let's just jump right in. So tell everybody that's watching what's your name, where you're from. I know your Instagram
sure.
handle is super fun, so talk to us a little bit about how you came to that handle. I love it.
So my name is Andrea, and I live here in Atlantic Canada, as I said. My what I do for a living is I'm an online therapist, and I work with women who have anxiety and self-esteem issues. And another one of my passions is wig wearing. The faux blonde came about because I'm actually a brunette who loves to wear blonde hair. And I started the Instagram page quite some time ago,
Hmm.
but there was some reluctancy to really put it out there to the extent that I have now. And maybe I'll tell you a little bit about that story if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, tell us about how you kind of came to know and love wigs, like who you are
Sure.
today, what led up to that. Tell everybody.
So about 8 years ago, which would have been it was a big transition time for me. So I used to work in a hospital as a psychiatric social worker, and I had been there about 13 years and came down with, not came down with, developed a severe depression. So at that time, I went through a major clinical depression, which was um, difficult for me because of course I'm working in the field of mental health, and
Right.
then I'm dealing with a lot of the things that I'm helping my own clients with. So during that time, I took some time away from work, and it was really hard for me to show up and be on. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of our listeners and watchers who have experienced depression know that it's just an awful illness. And during that time, even taking care of my basic self care needs were
Mhm.
really, really a struggle for me. So at that time, um, I started to embrace wearing wigs even more. So I'd already, from a very young age, had loved hair and loved wearing wigs. But at
Right.
that time, when I went through the depression, it became more than just liking wearing wigs and liking hair. It became a real necessity to me and really helped me when I would leave the house to feel like I was put together. There was some semblance of being put together when inside, that's not what was happening. So
Right.
at that time, wigs became, I compare it to teenagers when they put on their hoodies sometimes as a way to protect themselves, or people that will wear beanies as a way to feel safe. My wigs really became a part of my self care, and putting them on really helped me to feel so much better and put together. And at that time, I sort of switched careers and went from working in the hospital as the psychiatric social worker to starting my own practice. And when I first started wearing wigs, and a lot of my clients can attest that I felt like I had to tell everybody, oh, by the way, I'm wearing a wig. The client would come in,
Right.
or we'd meet online, and I'd say, oh, by the way, I'm wearing a wig. And they were just so wonderful. As much as I was helping them with their self-esteem issues and anxiety, they were also helping me to become comfortable with embracing this part of myself that I had kind of felt embarrassed about almost.
Right.
There was a real stigma around wig wearing, I think, that has slowly started to change. So in
Mm.
the same, I know it's completely different, but there's a stigma around mental health that is starting to change. There's also a stigma around wig wearing, and I think a lot of misunderstanding in terms of why a woman would choose to wear a wig.
Right.
So yeah, so that's sort of how it started. And now it's gotten to the place where I am wearing my wigs and proud, and there's been a big shift in terms of the confidence that I have in terms of wearing the wig. And I'm happy to say that I'm no longer struggling with depression, but I have continued to wear and love my wigs.
That's amazing. I love that story because honestly, a lot of times we think of, women that wear wigs, they have alopecia, they have hair loss, they have thinning. Up until, meeting you and just really like thinking about it, I never connected, mental health with wearing wigs and how that could actually be a huge coping mechanism with, like you said, just feeling put together and getting yourself
Right.
out of the door and, facing the world and facing others, how wigs can be such a huge like help for that. So I love that and I love the
Absolutely.
story.
Because like I say, at the time, even getting up and brushing my teeth, even
Right.
doing basic self-care was just climbing Mount Everest. But when I would put on the wig, I felt like, okay, at least on the outside, I look somewhat put together. And like I say, then the wig really started to become like it's going to sound a bit corny, but the wig became like a friend to me.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like when I put one on, there's just such a, it reminds me of when I was a little girl and I used to have a security blanket,
Right.
the blanket with the satin on it. And when I would wrap it around myself, I just felt so good and so safe. That's how I feel when I put a wig on my head. It's just really makes me feel good.
I love that. I love the effect, the positive effect wigs can have on so many different women, regardless of why grabbed one, picked one up, put one on, regardless of the reason, just that transformative feeling that it gives you inside and then, you portray it on the outside is just so amazing. That's why I personally love working with wigs so much, working with so many women that wear them and love them. It's just so nice. And I know you're confident now and you're so open on social media and with your family about wearing wigs and you don't mind, one day having short hair and the next day having long hair, changing your blondes. Sometimes it's rooted, sometimes it's not. But so how did you get there and help some of our viewers maybe that aren't as confident or as open, maybe
Mm-hmm.
giving them some advice on how to, feel better about it.
That was definitely a challenge for me because I a lot of how I dealt with that was the same things that I would help my clients with when they were dealing with something that they didn't feel confident about.
Right.
So a lot of my fears when I would wear the wig out of my apartment, because for a long time I wore them in my apartment and would, dance around my apartment and look in the mirror and feel great. But then when it came to opening the door and going outside, that fear would strike. And I really had to start to look at what that fear was about. So
Right.
the fear for me was, what if somebody makes fun of me? What if somebody knows that I'm wearing a wig and they reject me or make fun of me or think I look silly or somehow ridicule me? So I really had to start to work on that. How do I walk out the door, whether it's a wig or whether it's any other part of me, and feel like, what if the worst case scenario happens and somebody ridicules me? How would
Yeah.
I handle that? So I really had to start looking at, number one, the chance of somebody ridiculing me for wearing a wig was a lot smaller than I was making it out to be. So I made it out to be like this mountain, like I'm going to walk out and everyone's going to look at me. And my thought was, instead of them thinking, oh, wow, she has pretty hair, or doesn't she look nice? I would think,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, they're looking at me and they're thinking, what a silly girl, she's wearing a wig. So I
Right.
had to really start to work on shifting that thought, because that thought was not accurate. There's
Exactly.
no way that you can know when someone's looking at you unless you're a mind reader, and none of us are. There's no way that you can know what another human being's thinking. And I chose to believe that, you know what, they're looking at me and they're thinking, what an attractive girl, or gee, I like
Right.
her top, or instead of always walking out the door thinking, oh, they're looking at my hair. They're really, and even if they are, it could be in a positive way.
Exactly. I
But
love how
again,
you said
I
do
had to
that.
practice that, Christina. I had to really
Yeah.
practice that. And my clients were really my first, that's, I would go to work and I would be in my office at the time, or on video, and they really embraced, they really helped me to feel like, wow, it's okay, Andrea. It's okay if you're wearing different hair each and every time we come to see you. So that was just, I mean, I felt like a bird being freed from a cage. That's
Right.
how much, that's how wonderful it was for me to finally be able to leave my apartment wearing wigs.
Yeah. So somebody's saying here, our thoughts can be our enemy. People are
Mm-hmm.
too caught up in their own thoughts. Yeah, it's always, for the most part, I feel like it's always in our own mind, and we're so, aware of certain things on ourselves because we see ourselves, a lot. But other people don't even focus on those things. Like we always focus, unfortunately, as humans, we look at the negative, we look at the flaws in people, but a lot of times it's just in our mind. So I love that you feel more
The
comfortable.
majority of the time, it's just in our
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
And I always tell my clients, and I give myself the same advice, what if the worst case scenario had happened? What if I go somewhere and someone goes, hee hee hee, Andrea's wearing a wig? How do I deal with that? So I had to feel like, if that possibility happened, how was I going to cope with it? And
Right.
really, if somebody makes fun of me because I'm wearing a wig, that's not very nice. I would,
Right.
instead of me thinking, oh, like I'm so embarrassed because they made fun of me, I kind of shifted it and thought, who would make fun of people because they're wearing faux hair? Like, no one knows why I'm wearing faux hair.
Right.
So I
I
sort of
think,
like, I really worked on shifting the thoughts.
yeah, I mean, I personally, like, one of my biggest dreams just being in this industry is for just wigs to just become another accessory. It's like,
Right.
adding the lashes or doing your nails and doing acrylic nails or wearing high heels. I mean, we're changing our height a little bit, but it's, why do wigs have such a negative connotation, or why are people so, they don't want to be open about it? And I'm hoping that that changes with time, and women that wear them, whether it's by choice or by necessity, just feel beautiful. They feel empowered. It's just another accessory. It's something that we all love and we all wear. I love that celebrities are more open about it too,
Right.
because it's just normalizing it.
And again, I'm comparing it to mental health, even though I know that they are completely different. But in the same way that as a mental health therapist, I speak out about myself having had mental health struggles, I think that the more women that can admit that, hey, I wear alternative hair, that it then sort of normalizes it for all women, that then all women know that it's okay if I wear alternative hair. It's interesting how extensions seem to be okay.
Right.
It's almost like there's a bit of a it's like extensions are okay, but ooh, a wig, like that's getting, or a topper might be okay. But so it's really interesting how that is, and I 100% believe that it's going to change,
I
and
do
I
too.
hope that I'm going to be part of that. And a lot of the women that I follow on Instagram, I know that they're inspiring other women to feel that it is okay to wear alternative hair. It almost
100%.
seems silly when I say it out loud. Why wouldn't it be okay?
Why wouldn't
Right?
it? Why
Why
isn't
wouldn't
it?
it?
Yeah,
Right.
why isn't it? Why isn't it okay?
And I think, Christina, in other cultures, I believe that um, back in 2009, I spent about 5 months in West Africa, and the women there were much more, wearing alternative hair was just so much more accepted.
Mhm.
And I found it interesting that, I think that regardless of what culture you're in or what country you're in, I'm hoping that more and more women will feel like it is absolutely okay to wear alternative hair.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I love that. So somebody says, I love everything about this live. I swear the universe sent me to hear this. I love that. It
Oh.
makes me teary. But yeah, definitely follow Andrea. I love that, like I said, you made that connection with mental health and wearing wigs, or even just kind of feeling put together, feeling a little bit better on the outside, maybe than that you feel on the inside, but how
Mhm.
wigs can play such a big part in that. And I just love it. So definitely follow Andrea, and I'm sure that everybody can DM you and ask for help. I love that you're a therapist too. So I'm going to be reaching out to you myself.
I kept my like I do have an Instagram that's my professional Instagram, which is at the anxiety counselor, and then I have my wig, the at the faux blonde, and I've often thought of how I can sort of marry those two in some way,
Yeah,
because there are a lot of, I think when it does come to the confidence of wearing alternative hair, there is a lot of anxiety and there are a lot of self-esteem issues connected to it.
definitely. Yeah. And I love that you could be a resource for our community on how to deal with that, especially right now. I think, when I first spoke to you, I asked you, how has COVID and the pandemic and everything affected your line of work? And I know you said that originally you thought it would be difficult to connect virtually,
Mhm.
but it's like, do you want to tell a little bit about how that's affected you?
So connecting virtually again was a big learning curve for me, and I was scared. It was like, something new, and what's this going to be like, and how are we going to, what's the rapport going to be like, and am I going to be able to like create that same rapport online that I do in the office?
Right.
So I think again I had to use that self-talk, and I had to say, Andrea, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the worst thing that could happen is, okay, maybe that rapport wouldn't happen, but it's actually been the opposite. So I find that um, I was almost projecting my own fear onto
Mm-hmm.
like the client. And if, as long as I can be relaxed, and then they realize that the online connection is actually, for me, it has been great. And
Right.
it has allowed me to reach more people. So I've been very fortunate that now my reach in terms of reaching women has been all across the country now. And
Exactly.
that's just been a silver lining, I guess is the same.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
been just, yeah, that's been amazing. And I keep getting, every time I go to do an online, my first thought is like, is the internet going to work? And can they hear me? And can they see me okay? And they
Right.
can, they always can.
They always can.
So, right. And again, if they couldn't, I always go to, how do you deal with that scariest thought?
Exactly.
What would happen if they didn't? I always, look at how would we deal with that scary thought?
I love that. So all of us can walk away with that tip. So when you're feeling anxious, nervous, self-conscious, what is the worst thing that somebody could think could happen?
And how would you deal with that?
Yeah, how would
And
you do
then asking yourself, um, what is the what is the worst thing that could happen? What is the best thing that could happen?
it? I
And
love
what is
that.
most likely to happen?
Oh, I love that.
Because often,
You're gonna be
I was looking at things as catastrophes all the time.
yeah,
And, some people look at things as the silver lining all the time, but there is what is most likely to happen?
exactly. I love that.
Most
We'll
likely the internet is going to work fine. It has
yeah.
been for years and it'll continue to work fine.
We'll all walk away with that knowledge. I love that. So tell us a little bit. I know you said originally that, you were wearing wigs. It was necessity, but not necessarily hair loss related. But you told me a little bit how your hair has changed over the years. So kind of tell our viewers about your hair, and maybe a little bit why you still maybe always would opt for a wig versus just.
Absolutely. So, I have always had extremely, extremely fine, thin hair. I would go to my hairdressers and they would be like, oh my gosh, like you have baby fine hair. It was extremely, extremely fine. And I tried numerous types of extensions in my 20s and my 30s. And it actually, for me personally, it was even more damaging to my hair. That's how fine and thin my hair is. And then once I started, probably like after the age of 45, and especially once I turned 50, I started to notice even more hair loss, which I'm thinking is probably connected to menopause and hormones. And so I would, find clumps of hair when I would take a shower. So I can spend an hour and try to fluff up my hair and try to make it look pretty and blow dry it. And it's exhausting
Right.
what I have to do to try to make my hair look to what I would find acceptable. So for me, it's just so much easier and so fun to be able to choose all these different styles. I could never get my hair to look like this and stay like this for more than 5 minutes. So for example, with the style that I'm wearing now, even if I go outside and it were to snow on it or rain on it, it stays
I
exactly
know.
like
I
this.
love
Like
that.
that is amazing.
I love that.
And then if that night I want to have long hair, I can. I have never I'm going to be 53 this year, and I have never been able to grow my hair past here. Never. It's like, it's just not possible. And
Right.
I've always loved that long Barbie hair. So I get to have it now.
Yeah, I love it. And so do you typically, I know we're going to see some of your favorite styles later, but do you always stay with the blonde? I think you posted the other day a brunette and it looked so good on you. It looked so
Thank
good.
you. Well, brunette is my natural color. The blonde has been because that's always been what I've dreamt of having.
Right.
But again, and I think this is a part of of the um, the feeling confident with wearing different colors.
Hmm.
I am now starting to look at different darker shades of blonde. So
Right.
that's where I'm at now, is that looking at darker shades of blonde and maybe a light brunette. Um, and again, probably a dark brunette can happen occasionally. It's just, I guess my personal preference is that I've always liked the blonde look, and I've
Yeah,
never been able to have it.
looks so good
So
on you. Yeah, and looks so good on you. Also, talk to us. So when did you, around what age did you start wearing wigs?
the first wig that I ever got, it must have been, I'm thinking it must have been maybe 40, or maybe even my late 30s. And
Hmm.
I knew nothing about wigs at that time. It was one of the Forever Young wigs. So
Oh,
I
okay.
knew nothing about what a lace front was, what a monotop was. I knew nothing about synthetic or human hair, nothing. I just went online and ordered myself a wig. And that was the first one. And that one, actually, I was fortunate enough that I did bring it to my hairstylist
Hmm.
and she helped to thin it for me. So that was also my first, when I first realized that what you get out of the box when you order a wig, that there are ways to make that you.
Yeah, I love that.
So at that time, the hairstylist helped me, but now I've kind of learned how to tweak my styles myself to
Which is
some
good.
extent.
And I'm going to ask you about some of your tips too, because that's what
Yeah.
I love, like kind of picking the brains of all of our hair and happiness guests, because you guys have kind of through trial and error and years of wearing wigs have learned so many tips and tricks that like some viewers that maybe are new to wigs or maybe haven't really gotten into wigs but are thinking about it can learn so much. Also, I learned so much and our
Hmm.
team learned so much. So I love that. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. So before
Sure.
we talk about specific styles that you love, what are some of your favorite brands? Because I know there's so many wig brands out there, and you probably tried them all. But what are maybe your top three favorite?
I've been thinking about that question because that's a hard question to answer because I feel, and I sincerely mean this, I feel like every brand, I've not had an experience with a brand where I was like, oh, this is awful. I think every
Right.
brand has something to offer. Because I have naturally very thin, fine hair, I tend to really go for a lower density wig. So,
Mhm.
meaning like a wig that doesn't have a whole lot of big hair. That has, so this is, that we'll talk about later. This is simmer, which I would call more like a light to medium density.
Mhm.
Um, but some of the brands that I felt had that lighter density, a brand that I really love is Gabor, because Gabor has the soft and subtle that I absolutely love, and we'll show that a little bit later. So Gabor, definitely one of my favorites. Um, Raquel Welch, what I'm wearing today, one of my favorites. Oh my goodness, Jean Renault is a favorite. Another brand that is very difficult to get, but that I've actually found has a really nice I like their styles is Belle Madame, but it's really difficult styles for me to get my hands on because it's a
Right.
European brand.
Mhm.
Um, Beltress I've liked because Beltress has wonderful, I love the colors in the Beltress wigs. So yeah, like it's hard for me to really, you said three, and I think I went
I
beyond three.
know that was a lot,
Yeah,
but I love it.
because in every brand, I really feel that I can find something that I like. And even brands that would be more like that don't normally have low density wigs, they usually have at least one or two in their
Right,
lineup that
right.
would fit what I'm looking for.
So I know you
Yeah.
talked a little bit about Gabor and you talked about Raquel, which we carry on our site, and they're kind of our higher end brands. But what I was going to mention is that the fibers are actually there's a technology behind them, which is why they look and feel so natural. So with Gabor, there's the Flex Light, and Raquel has her own fibers too. So it's just interesting to kind of see that, and maybe you don't know when you look at the pictures online, but when you get them, you see and feel the difference. And that's why, because they have,
So
special
interesting.
technology that makes them look and feel very natural. So I love this Raquel that you're wearing. Simmer is a really popular style. So yeah, let's talk about some of your favorite styles, and then we'll get into a little bit more about like your tips and all of that. But so you're wearing Simmer.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna pull
wearing Simmer and I
it.
love Simmer. And my sister, this is her favorite wig on me. She really likes this one too. Um, and the thing I like about Simmer is that I feel like she's a really natural density, like not too overpowering for me. I love that Raquel Welch puts, if I just show you here, so here's the lace front. I love that she puts the blonde right up to the front. I find that makes it look so natural.
And that's actually another unique feature to only Raquel Welch. I think Gabor has something similar, but their rooted colors with Gabor, they're a little bit softer. So like let's say you guys love Andrea's color, but it's the root is maybe a little too dramatic or too on trend for you. Gabor, they do soft shades where you can still see some of the highlight go to the root, but then there's a base color, kind of like if your hair grows out, you go and get your highlights done, and then they kind of break the base or lighten it. That's kind of the Gabor color,
Mhm.
which I love that.
That's
Um,
true. As you're mentioning that, I'm thinking that is so true. The Gabor roots are definitely lighter. Sometimes I actually, and we can talk about that when we talk about some of the tips, but sometimes I'll darken the root myself
mhm.
with
Yeah,
eyeshadow
that's
or, yeah.
yeah, that's something unique to Gabor, and how Gabor and Raquel Welch differ in their rooted colors is that the Gabor is a little bit softer and subtle, like soft and subtle.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
I was gonna say too. So the lace front, let's say it was dark all the way at the front. What I love about Raquel kind of keeping it light is that the knots would be a lot more noticeable on the lace front if the hair was dark. So then you
Right.
almost can see the knotting and it kind of gives it away a little bit. I mean, if you're up close, but with those lighter blonde pieces in the front, you don't really see the knot. So that's why you could pull it back and it looks like your own hair. But that's just
Absolutely.
the attention to detail. I know that it is a higher priced brand on the Wig Company site, but the just the attention to detail and the quality, it's like you really
And the
can't
hair feels like like I would not know this wasn't human hair. There's
right.
no way when I touch it that I would ever think that's not human hair.
Yes.
And
I
if I were to like try and get my hair this color, it would be so damaged.
mm-hmm. Oh, of
Yet,
course.
when you wear a wig, like there's no damage to the hair.
I love that. Okay, so what other styles do you want to show us?
Okay, so do you want me to take this one off and show you
Sure.
another one?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you feel
So
comfortable
you'll
with.
see when yeah, sure. You'll see when I take it off that I'm wearing a wig grip. And for me, I do feel more that my wigs feel more secure when I do have a wig grip.
Right.
This one is the Renatural, I think it's called, but any
Yeah.
wig grip, I think, can help to secure the wig. Because a lot of the times people ask me, how do you get it to stay on? Like, how does it stay on?
Mm-hmm.
But this really helps it to stay on.
Yeah, and actually that wig grip that you're wearing, if you guys are interested in it, you can find them on Amazon pretty easily. And then also on the Wig Company, we have like a velvet version, which I don't know if you've tried it, but the velvet, sometimes
Yeah,
people prefer the silicone over the velvet, but they're both great, great
yeah,
options. It kind of
I've
just
tried
feels
both,
secure.
and so now we will do a longer look.
I love this. So what style is this one?
So this one is Simply Flawless by Gabor.
I love that. And then also show a little bit, the part is monofilament, which
Part
means,
is monofilament. Yeah, and when I take, sorry, when I take it off, I'll show that again because I should have showed it before I put it on. But it does have the, I love Gabor lace front.
yeah, it's a little bit
It really
soft.
just melts in there.
I love that. No,
And I
that's,
do, this is sun-kissed beige. So I added the root. It did not come with a root.
I love that. So you'll well, go ahead and tell us now, like
Yeah.
how do you do the rooting? And I know there's a lot of different ways you could do it, but what have you found to be the most successful?
So there's two things that I use to do the rooting. And this one, I believe on this one, I used eyeshadow. So
Mhm.
I either use the L'Oreal root spray, which can be a little bit trickier because I don't want to get it on the lace here. So I usually sort of put my finger here and try to spray. And
Good, yeah.
I found it a little trickier. And maybe some ladies can give me some tips on how to use the L'Oreal root spray without, without getting it on the lace. But because I'm always not wanting to get it on the lace part here, because I want that to continue to look natural, I use a dark eyeshadow and I
Mhm.
just take, just seeing if I had any here. I just take a dark eyeshadow and I just root it there. And
Mhm.
then I sometimes go underneath and root it underneath as well so that it looks even more natural.
Yeah, I totally used to use root sprays as well, but you just don't have as much control with them. So I also
Right.
love doing the eyeshadow. I love that it's like temporary. If you don't want it as dark next time, just wash it out. I mean, it's just perfect. What
Absolutely.
I like to
That's
do
a,
too with the part, you can put either a rat tail comb, like the metal ones, and hold
okay.
it down because it's a little bit thinner than like your finger. But also you can take, I love doing this with toppers or just anything where you're going to come all the way to the front, is take one of those like flat brushes, makeup brushes that are like kind of straight across the top and they're flat, with
Okay.
concealer, and just dab the concealer along the part, like a skin tone color. And that actually makes it pop a
Ah.
little bit more, but it looks
So
so.
I've heard of some ladies also putting some sort of tape underneath the part.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Um, I think it's like a medical, like it's tape that's like
Skin toned.
skin toned. Well, for my skin tone, I guess it would be, and they put it under here so that it looks more natural. But
Yeah,
I've never tried that.
I
I
actually,
think it looks
there
pretty
is,
natural.
yeah, there is a medical tape that's like a flesh toned color, and I'm sure it comes in different
Right.
ones. But some people
Yeah.
put it like if the lace is a little bit irritating on you, or if you have a sensitive, scalp, or it just irritates, then you can use that tape along the edge, and it kind of still gives you that natural look, but it doesn't. It's not the lace against your skin; it's the tape in between, like a little barrier. Um,
Right.
Super nice.
And I think that you also can get, and I do believe that I have some, you can also get wig tape that you can put along the front. 'Cause again, when people ask me, how do I secure the wig grip secures it for me. But I know some ladies will put some wig tape along the nape and
Mhm.
along the front. Is that right, Christina?
Yeah,
That you
definitely.
can,
You can't always use tape. Like it depends on the wig cap construction. That's why those grips, like the one you're wearing and the velvet one, are so perfect, because it doesn't matter what kind of wig cap you have. It could be totally wefted with the velvet, which you can't use the tape on. And you can still get that nice secure grip. But if you have something hand tied, or that has like the silicone strips on the inside, then you can add the tape. But again, it doesn't
right.
always work for all wigs. So I love the grips are great.
Yeah, the grips are great. And I've been in like really windy weather and it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Because that was another anxiety fear that I think some ladies have is what if I go outside and it blows away, or so I've never had a problem with it blowing off, and I've been in really severe wind and it's always stayed put.
That's great. And that's really important. Of course, you want to feel confident, you want to feel comfortable, but you also want it to be secure. You don't, that's the last thing that you want to worry
Want
about
to be
is
worried about, right?
lock. Right.
And this is for me, like I was talking about low density. I love that Simply Flawless has just the right amount of hair for me.
It's so pretty. Yeah, that's the Flex
Yeah,
Light fiber. So when you
love
actually
it.
look at the hair, I'm going to get a little technical, but when you look at the hair like under a microscope, the denier, or like the thickness of each strand, is a little bit finer. So that's what makes it overall just feel lighter, move better, just look more natural. But
Oh,
again,
that's so
that's the
interesting.
Gabor brand and the Raquel brand. They have those special fibers. We had Bethany Jet. She's asking about your wig grip. And definitely, Bethany, you can find like the one that Andrea's wearing can also be found on Amazon. But just look up silicone wig grip, and they're all over. They even come in different skin tone colors. I saw you have
Hmm.
the clear one, but they
Yes,
come
but they
like
do come now in a number of different skin tone colors.
yeah, definitely. Okay, so somebody's asking if you ever use glue.
I have not, I have used, is It Stays? Is that a
Huh?
glue?
Yes.
So I
Well, it's
have
an
used,
adhesive. Yeah.
pardon me?
It's not really like a thick, heavy glue, but it's like it could be like a daily type wear adhesive spray. Yeah. Or
So I
like
have used It Stays, and I have used, I think some ladies told me about using like the Got to Be Glued, it's like a gel.
mhm.
That one didn't work for me. I tried it, but that one didn't work. The It Stays did work, but I don't really feel it's necessary. I don't feel the need to glue anything down.
That's great.
So, but
Yeah.
I think
But I
that
mean,
It
if somebody,
Stays,
for me personally, if I was going to give my professional recommendation, I wouldn't use glue or adhesive that's going to be like more than a day or two with a synthetic wig. Now, if you're wearing something fully hand tied and it's human hair and you're going to keep it on for several days at a time, then I would say go ahead and add maybe some tape or adhesive if you feel like it's necessary. But wigs nowadays, and I know you can attest to that, Andrea, like once you tighten it and like with your wig grip on, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, you're going to
exactly.
take it off at night, but it's not going to be moving around during the day or you don't feel like it's going to fall off. So sometimes you don't necessarily have to go and grab the glues and the adhesives, which you might be sensitive to. Like get the wig grip and then always adjust your wig on the inside to loosen it or tighten it.
Exactly. So would you like me to take this one off and I'll show
Yeah,
just what it looked like on the inside?
show
So
us the
there's,
inside and then we'll see another style.
so this was the mono, the lace mono part.
That's yeah, I love that cap feature because
Yeah.
although you cannot change the part around, so it has to stay where it's already located, which is usually on the left side, which most people wear their hair parted from left going to the right side. It brings the cost down a little bit of the wig when it's just on the part, but you still get the natural part. You still get the lace front. I love that cap construction.
I don't know if you can get it. I really love this color, the sun-kissed beige.
Yeah, I love that. I love that
It's
it's
a really,
like a cool toned color. It's not like
yeah.
yellow. Hmm.
But whereas um the one that I had on before, the Raquel Welch Simmer, it is more of a yellow, but I like those colors too. I find
I
I
like
like
that.
the cool
Yeah,
and the warm. So
I love
this
it. Okay, so
is
what are you showing us now?
okay. So this one is the soft and settle, and it's in the champagne tones. I don't know
I
if
love
you,
that.
I
So
think
this
it's
one is
called SS
rooted.
Champagne. This one is rooted, and it's also the one with the part.
Okay.
But you know what? I kind of do a little bit of trick with the part. So even though this is on the left, right?
Hmm.
So here I have it
I
on the
love that.
left.
That's so
But
pretty.
let's say that I didn't want it on the left. I just shift it.
Yeah, you just shift the ear tabs.
And and it doesn't change.
I love
It's
that
still the
so much.
same length, so it's really easy to shift. I really
Sometimes
like this one.
say that wigs are like asymmetrical, so you can't always do that with every style because it'll look kind of a little off. But
True.
with anything that's kind of just an even length or a little bit longer, you can definitely use the ear tabs and shift it. I love that you showed that tip.
Yeah, I love this one. And another little trick that I do, because I do have um, some hair, is that I pull my own hair, a little few pieces of my own hair here, and it
Hmm.
helps to make it look more natural on the sides.
I love that.
So I just kind of pull out a little bit of my own.
How do you feel that wigs have helped you with like having to maybe get your roots done or going to the salon, getting your hair cut?
I still will go to the salon, but not as often. So I remember the last time that I saw my hairstylist with COVID, it's been
Yeah, it's been a little
kind
different.
of, I haven't been able to see her as much as I'd like to, but she said, "Oh, your hair seems, it's in good shape. It seems healthier." And I'm thinking, yes, because I'm wearing wigs all the time.
Right.
So I'm not damaging my hair.
That's
So
great.
yeah,
That's
I love
another
this
plus.
short style.
It's less heat damage on your hair, less chemical damage on your hair. The wigs are just, and then of course, like for all of us to get the perfect hair that wigs give you, and the flexibility to go from like you had this really pretty long style, and now you have this perfect like lob cut with waves, and like that quick.
In a second. Yeah,
Yeah,
in a second.
there's
And
nothing.
like I said earlier, it these curls won't go anywhere. So if I go out and the weather isn't, is snowing or raining, it won't affect this.
And then also, not everybody's great with their curling irons. Like not everybody can get that curl, even if you had all the hair.
Me, I couldn't, even if I had all the hair. I'm just not good at it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's another great thing. Okay, so what other styles do you want to
So
show
the
us?
last one that I'm going to show, and I think that this is something that we should mention that I forgot to mention earlier, is how much I love these affordable, the Statements line from the Wig Company. So this is a really affordable line from the Wig Company, and I'll show you this next one.
Yeah, I love this one too. So
So,
while you're doing that, I'll talk a little bit about the Statements collection. So Statements is a brand that you will only find at the Wig Company, which I love that because it's exclusive, and it also is at a price point. Almost everything is under $100. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure every style is under $100. So if you're new to wigs or you kind of want to test the waters, it's a great brand. But recently, what they've done is they've come out with a collection called Stunning Statements. So it's just a little bit more on trend styles, and also the densities are a little bit lighter. So I love that about them. But Andrea, you're wearing, I think, the Ultimate.
this is the Ultimate, and as you see, it's a darker shade of blonde for me.
Yeah.
So I think this is the 1488, and has these little cute little curls. The other thing that's great about this one is it's a basic cap, but I don't find that because it's rooted so well, um, that doesn't bother me.
Hmm.
It doesn't have the mono features, and I don't find it matters.
Right. Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? It looks natural with the rooting.
Exactly. The root adds such a great, it's almost like something so subtle where somebody's like, well, I don't necessarily like to wear my hair rooted, or maybe that's too trendy, but try it because the root isn't necessarily like, oh, I'm trying to be on trend and have a rooted hair color. It actually makes wigs look more natural. So definitely try, if you haven't already tried a rooted color, definitely try one.
Yeah. So I find that I love the Statements line. And you're right, like they're affordable. So I think for some people who want to start to experiment with wigs and maybe are like, okay, yeah, I want to try one. Where do I start? I think starting with something like the Statements line so they can get a feel for even what it's like to wear a wig would be a great option.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, somebody was saying America and Canada are so lucky with affordable options. Where are you located? Midlife crisis, 50 plus. I'm
Oh,
curious.
she's in Australia.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, she's wonderful. And it's true. Although in Canada, I've had great with with the wig company. The shipping is great. I I've had no problem with shipping. So um, and it still makes it affordable even for Canadians. It's still
that's great.
probably around
That's good.
$100. Yeah.
And then in Canada, you guys have to pay customs typically.
We do, but I believe that when it's around $100, the chances of you paying customs on that, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that I've paid customs on the ones that I've got from the Statements line. So I think it depends on what the value is, on
Okay.
how much the wig is. So that's another reason why I think starting with the Statements line is a good choice for people that are just wondering, like, what's the style going to look like on me? What's the color going to look like? So it's a good way to start.
Yeah, she said she's in Australia. I love that. So we have somebody from Australia with us. I'm in the US. Andrea's in Canada. We're all friends. I love it. Okay, so what are some of your wig tips? I was going to ask you too because I noticed that you wear the heat-friendly styles and
Mhm.
you wear longer styles. So what are your tips or tricks with tangling and matting, things like that?
So this is with me all the time. So this is the wide tooth comb,
Mm-hmm.
And I have that in my purse. I have probably like 5 of these. So I have them in my purse in between clients. I make, because they're not expensive. I think they're like $2, $2 or $3. And so I'm, always gently combing the hair to make sure that it doesn't tangle.
Mhm.
And when I take it with my long wigs, when I take them off in the evening, I will spray like a detangler, like a Jean Renault detangler, to make sure that all the tangles are out with the long wigs. So
Okay.
I'm really careful about how I treat them. I tell my sister they're like my babies.
That's
So
good.
I'm really careful about how I treat them and to make sure that I take good care of them. With the heat-friendly styles, um, I find with the heat-friendly styles, the only time that I've really, sometimes the ends will get like a little crunchy, and if you put heat on them, it takes that away. The
Yeah.
crunchiness goes away. I don't know if that's the right word, crunchiness, but a little
It can
dry, I
cry.
guess they
It
get.
can cry.
But then once I put my straightener on them, or once I put heat on it, that goes away.
Yeah.
So I
That's
know some people are totally against the heat friendly styles, but I've had no problem with them at all.
what I do
So
like about the heat friendly, and yes, they do respond and react to like friction and body heat a little bit more than a regular synthetic and of course human hair. But what I love about the heat friendly is, like you said, you can take your flat iron and smooth those tips out. So you can actually repair the fiber and continue wearing it longer than you would with a regular synthetic that, once it's done and you move on to the next one.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. So we have somebody asking, can you talk a little bit about petite sizing? I'm very small, got a custom wig and it's too bulky on me. So I don't know, Andrea, if are you an average cap size or?
My when I measured, it's 21.75.
Mhm.
So I buy average, but I've also had petite wigs that I can fit into as well. Um, so I don't know. I find like I don't usually have to, it's only when I would buy a wig that's large that I have to
Mhm.
adjust the adjusters.
Mhm.
But petite and average, I find fit me well.
Yeah. But Shannon, too, you can DM me. My Instagram is at the hair you love, and I'll give you. There's a way that you can kind of sew in the inside of a cap where you can just take it out. Like it's not cutting it and sewing it. So let's say you put it on and you don't like it, but I can kind of walk you through how to kind of tailor the inside of the wig cap. For the most part, you can adjust the circumference, but then it's bulky right here at the crown. So there's a little technique where you can sew that and just kind of tighten it together. But I would also consider having it thinned out if it's not only the fit, but also just the amount of hair. Like Andrea said, brands like Gabor, the Stunning Statements line is really low density. So maybe select a brand that already has low density. And then as far as the cap, you can DM me and I'll walk you through kind of getting the cap better. We have so many salons in the US that go through a training and certification that we can, like, I can find out where they're located and like advise you on maybe these are some options and they can tailor them. But right now with COVID and the quarantine, it's just harder to find more and more places that are still open or taking appointments. So it's still
Is it
something though.
Are there some places, Christina, where you can actually mail your wig to them? Because I have seen on Instagram some ladies that will mail their piece, even women that are in Canada will find a place and mail it to them and that they can do that for them.
Definitely.
So
I know
I'm sure that,
that there's a place in Dallas. So I'm in Dallas, Texas, but there's a place in Dallas that does it. So I can just share their Instagram if anybody is needing that type of service, just DM me and I'll share their Instagram and you can take your wig to them or mail it to them. And it's always better to go in person because with a
true.
fit issue, you want to make sure it fits, but there are places that do that. So
Hmm.
yeah, but definitely
That's good
we
to
are
know.
also expanding our assortment of petites and larges because I know everybody is kind of asking for that. Oh, she's in Canada. Okay, so she's in Canada. So maybe Andrea, if you know anybody too?
I know that where I am, there is a lady in Nova Scotia who, if she wants to send me a message, I can get her in
Yeah,
touch with that lady. And I don't, maybe she could mail her the piece, or
that would be great.
that might be an option. Yeah,
Yeah, what that would open for you, Shannon, is that you can pretty much purchase any wig on our website, whether it's an average or a petite, and then when you get it home, try it on and maybe, kind of pin it where it needs to be taken in and then mail it off to somebody and have it done, or maybe even drive somewhere. But you'll have so many more options if you have somebody that can tailor it for you. It's just like with clothing, like, you know, if you're short or you're tall, maybe like you always buy slacks and you're like, oh man, well, I have to hem them every time. Same thing with wigs. The good thing is that there are people that service them that way. So that's good. So
Absolutely.
Andrea, any other tips that you have found with wigs? Anything that you want to share with our viewers?
I think that one thing to remember is that when you get the wig and you take it out of the box and put it on your head, not to think, oh my gosh, so this is what it's going to look like. Like you can really make it your own. Um, so once I get it and I take it out of the box, I shake it and I make sure that it, you know, I loosen it up a bit. Um, I put it on and see how the part looks, whether I want to add some rooting or not. I use I'll use some like Jean Renault Peace Out cream or something that so I can sort of loosen the separate the hairs because
Mm-hmm.
I want them to look as natural as possible. So
Right.
I think not to be afraid to play with them. That's
Yes.
probably the best advice is don't be afraid to play with them and really start to feel like they're your own. So I'll like put it behind my ear like this and then I'll
Uh,
take some hair out and um, I buy different wig products to try, like the hairsprays and the creams, and start playing with them. I tell my sister it reminds me of when I was a little girl. I used to get so much joy out of playing Barbies. This is like
mhm.
having a Barbie, you know, on my head, and I just play with it and
I
really make it my own.
And something that I will kind of chime in as a good tip that you mentioned earlier that I'm just going to repeat is you said that at the beginning of you wearing wigs, you would wear them around your house. So I always like to tell somebody that's new to wearing wigs, maybe you're trying a different style. Maybe you've always worn wigs, you're trying a different style or a different color. Wear it around your house for a few hours and get used to seeing yourself in this new look. And then
Mhm.
once you're used to seeing yourself, you're actually like, because what we talked about at the beginning of the live, and we'll save the live for everybody. Andrea had such great feedback and advice. But once you're used to seeing yourself a certain way, like those thoughts of what other people might think kind of just diminish. And then, so you just feel a little bit more confident. So wear it around the house. With COVID right now, it's so easy to just change up your look anytime and do one Zoom
Mhm.
blonde, do the next one brunette, have fun with it. Um, but yeah, that would be my best advice is just get used to seeing yourself with it on and then you can kind of face the world.
Absolutely. And just to remember that as you continue to wear it and as you continue to get more comfortable, that anxiety really goes away. I did, you know, I was like, am I going to ever leave my house with a wig on? And now, like I say, I feel like a bird that's been in a cage and
I
just
love
had
that.
that door open. And now I wear them all the time and am not shy to let people know that I wear wigs.
I love that. And not everybody is at that, point in their
Right.
journey. It's okay.
Absolutely.
But I
Hmm.
think knowing so many women, so if you guys are new to wigs or maybe you don't feel as confident or being, maybe you're struggling with just accepting the fact that you're going to have to wear wigs or wear wigs, look at our amazing community, the followers of the wig company, the influencers that are shared and posted. They're such a great resource and it's such a great community. Everybody supports everybody. It's so inspiring just as a woman and just all of us have our insecurities, just seeing everybody just embrace them and they're almost like empowered by them. It's incredible.
You're right. Absolutely. Wig sisters is what we call
Yeah,
each other. So, yeah,
but I love that. So you guys follow Andrea, follow us. We love getting to know more of you. If you follow Andrea but you don't follow us at the Wig Company, please do. And then my Instagram is at the hair you love. I'm here as a professional hairstylist and wig expert to help you shop online. If you need help picking a color, send me your photo. If you have questions about fit, about care, customizing, all of that, I am at your fingertips 24/7. Take advantage of it. I always say that. Take advantage of
absolutely.
it. I'm here to help you guys. But
Absolutely.
if anybody has any final questions, I know we're kind of getting close to our hour wrap up, but enter in any questions you have for myself or for Andrea, for the wig company. And then just if you want to give us any final words of wisdom from your many years of expertise as a therapist, as a wig wearer, if you want to close off with any final words.
I think I would just reiterate what we talked about at the beginning of the live, is that your your thoughts are absolutely not always true. And a lot of times our thoughts are not true. They're not accurate. So that thought of, oh my gosh, like, how can I do this? Someone's going to notice, someone's going to say something negative about me. Really stop and think about that and change that thought process. I know it's not easy. And
I
that's
know.
part of my job, is to help women to be able to change that negative self-talk. But it's absolutely possible to do it. Absolutely possible.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Andrea, you're amazing. I'm so glad that we met through this forum and that we got to chat and hang out with so many of you. If you guys are at home, on the road, on your way home, getting settled, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I hope that everybody leaves feeling super inspired and confident and knowing that we are all each other's resources. We're all here to help each other and just get through, but look beautiful doing it, right?
Thank
So
you
thank you.
so very much for having me, Christina.
No, thank you so much for joining us. Also, check out our blog. We featured Andrea in the past, so you can look at some of her reviews and her tips. I know you sent me some great information about Ultimate, which is the style you're wearing now. Also, feel free to DM either one of us if you have any questions about the live or anything you saw during the live. Styles, I know you have that Canada connection, and I have the US connection, so if you guys need
Right.
any help, let us know. But thank you guys so much. We're going to
Thank
go ahead
you.
and say goodbye.
Stay safe. Have a good night.
Thank you. Yes, everybody stay warm and safe. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.